We move differently.
You move differently.
Yeah.
And so we can program our bodies to like actually expect an outcome. And we create this is a little bit esoteric, but there's a thing called morphic resonance. We create fields of expectation around us. So we are consciously and unconsciously programming our reality based on our physiological belief. Belief is not a mindset.
Yeah.
It's a physiological knowing.
Like a resonance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that gets to R on the real framework.
Right.
Resonance, energy, anti-fragility, and liberation.
Right.
Okay. So resonance is about, first and foremost, knowing exactly who you are, how you're wired, what you love, what you want, but putting that in the fields of your life. E is about energy, which is also an embodiment thing. Like, are you showing up as the most energetic version of yourself? Like, are you taking care of your physiological well-being, your sleep patterns, right? Mm-hmm. Fragility is a framework around well-being, resilience, which is a big topic we've talked about today. And then what's called peak performance, right? And there's an entire way to move your body and move your way of being and move your teams and move, everybody's got a team, whether you're in a company or whether you're a creator. How do you mobilize yourself and your team for peak performance? Liberation is a whole thing. I mean, I think your generation's getting pretty dialed in on trauma and also misusing trauma. There are people, you're from India, right? There are people in India that suffer traumas every day and they get up the next day and they work and they provide for their family, right? There's a little bit of like victim stuff happening in the trauma landscape today with your generation, right? But, our pain becomes our purpose. Our pain shapes who we are. So in terms of liberation, so many people tend to think about wanting to be liberated from the outside, but like we can liberate ourselves from the inside. Like trauma is something that shapes us and that we can actually do post-traumatic growth or post-traumatic stress, depending on our response, right? Spiritual formation. Like it is scientifically, evidentially true that like if you have a spiritual practice, it shapes your mental well-being. It shapes your perception of reality. Anybody who's gone through AA understands this. It's why AA is so successful. It actually taps into the spiritual formation side of surrender and of believing that like better is possible. You can frame that up in whatever religious or spiritual tradition context you want. But those, you mentioned resonance, REAL, like that's why we built the scientific framework that we did. We took the flourishing sciences, self-actualization science, performance psychology, interval theory, and moved it into a framework.
Yeah. There's so many things I want to say, but I think this reminds me of the idea of like transmuting pain and energy, right? And what's interesting is at like a primal level, people pick up on subtleties. So when you transmute it, the pain to something of power or, inner strength, people see that.
Yeah.
Whether you don't have to, make a billboard and say you've gone through this, right? People can sense that you've overcome things, that you have transmuted that energy. And I think the world around you changes when the world within you changes. So it's like a internal mirror of us.
That's right. Yeah. And boy, I don't know that we're taught transmutation.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. That word isn't in culture right now. Now imagine if we could teach your generation what transmutation is.
Yeah. I think that's where real change will start.
Real change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I have a friend who started change.org and, it was rooted in wanting to make the world a better place. And his famous line amongst our friends is like, yeah, real change starts inside.
Yeah. So true.
And so you can imagine mobilizing an entire ecosystem, people who want to change the world, to know that it starts with them.